The pace of AI developments continues to accelerate. Google announced Gemini Pro 1.5, boasting a mind-boggling 1 million token context window with experiments up to 10 million. This is absolutely insane. We're going to dig into what that means for you and I as engineers in just a second. But first we have to talk about Sora. Announced literally 2 hours later, Sora revealed OpenAI's latest text-to-video model. This model will break the internet. These models are absolutely incredible and they have tons of implications for you and I. The big question for us as engineers with our boots on the ground, putting in the hard work, building products for our companies, working on our own businesses and our own tools. The big question for us is how can we keep pace with the incredible momentum of these technologies? How do we decide which tools to adapt and use in our software? And how do we know where to focus our attention? As we know, attention is everything. Focus is everything. In this video, we're going to talk about what these two incredible announcements mean on a macro level, and then we're going to focus in on the micro level and talk about what this means for you and I as engineers and product builders. By the end of this video, you'll have concrete principles on how you can operate and keep pace with these incredible developments in AI. And then I want to push that a step further by revealing a tool set we've been building here on the channel over this 3-part video series. In it, we've been building concrete principles and patterns that you can use that allow you to adapt your technology, your software, your products to keep up with the insane rate of development in the AI ecosystem. We're going to talk about the IndyDevTools and the patterns and principles inside this code base that you can use in your software. So stay tuned for that. First, let's talk about this insane, mind-boggling 1 million token context window from Gemini 1.5 Pro. As you can see here, that's 1 hour of video, 11 hours of audio, 30K lines of code, 700K words. This is far beyond what anyone has done before. On a macro level, if Google has actually achieved this 1 million token context window accurately, let's go ahead and pull up that original blog post. So if they're able to pull this off with high accuracy, if this is actually true, this is going to change the way that we think about prompting. It's going to change the way that we need to prompt engineer. So this has a couple implications. We're assuming that Google actually is going to deliver on this. We still need to see Gemini Ultra performing at GPT-4 levels, at GPT-4 speeds, hopefully faster. And now we're going to be eagerly awaiting to see if Google was actually able to ship 1 million tokens in production. This is absolutely insane. So what does this mean on a macro level? What's going to change? So some of you may have noticed on this channel, we have never once really talked about RAG and similarity search in depth. Why is that? Since the beginning, I realized one key thing. The rate of improvements with these models is not going to stop. So as everyone rushed toward RAG databases and similarity search and these different ways to chunk your information, to chunk, your PDFs, to chunk your code, I realized that we can just wait and we can just focus on building great prompts. Because one thing is clear, I've said this on the channel before, the prompt is the new fundamental unit. This is going to sound really stupid, but you need food, water, shelter, internet, and the next wave is prompts. This sounds so dumb, but the next level of key technology, the next level of key innovation in one's life is this prompt. When you walk up the chain, you learn how to read. Some of us learn how to code. That next level is the prompt. If you know how to prompt, there is going to be a whole massive wave of opportunity that you can access that others cannot, right? It's just like having access to the internet. It's just like having access to writing code. It's just like having access to really important technology that changes what you can do. The prompt is the new fundamental unit of programming, but more broadly, the prompt is the new fundamental unit of knowledge work. So my prediction for RAG is simple. RAG is dead. Once this is released, if this is true that 1.5 Pro found the embedded key text right? This needle in the haystack is a really, really important framework for evaluating if a large context window model is accurate, right? If this is actually true that it found the embedded text in the haystack 99% of the time within 1 million tokens, RAG is dead. Similarity search is dead. None of that stuff matters anymore. And in a moment, we're going to talk about what that means for us and how we can utilize this insane technology in our work. And that ties into the IndyDevTools and how we've engineered and utilized principles that help us stay resilient to this new technology coming out. It doesn't matter what you're building if you can't adapt it to this new technology coming out, right? Sora, Gemini 1.5 Pro, hopefully Gemini Ultra. We need to be building adaptive software, adaptive products. So let's talk about what else this means, right? Second, on a macro level, we have to point out how crazy this is coming from Google. By crazy, I mean Google, from the public's perspective, just joined the AI race with the announcement of Gemini and Gemini Pro in December. Right now, it's mid-February, coming up to late February, right? This was just announced on February 15th. Google has innovated so insanely quickly that one of two things have to be true. One, they have been sitting on LLMs for years. Let's keep in mind that they put out that original attention is all you need, transformers, architecture papers, right? They put those out. That's their tech. They are the founders of that technology, right? That serves as the foundation for all of this LLM technology. So that's case one, right? Google has been sitting on this. Or the second case is true. This one is much scarier from a competition perspective. If this second case is true, OpenAI has a lot to worry about. And it really makes the Sora announcement look like a defensive move, frankly, from OpenAI. Releasing Sora just 2 hours after Gemini Pro 1.5 was announced almost makes it look like OpenAI is scared of Gemini 1.5 Pro and wanted to reduce the post by putting out something incredible. And not to say that Sora isn't incredible. If Google was actually able to innovate from basically zero to Gemini 1.5 Pro with 1 million token context window, Sundar, Dennis, these guys are absolutely cooking. They're cooking the future up at Google right now. And it is terrifying, frankly, to think that, first of all, the pace of all this is really incredible, right? Just 18 months ago, ChatGPT was announced, right? Completely game breaking, right? Completely mind boggling. We can now talk to our computer and it can respond to us in natural language. But if this is true, that Google, saw what OpenAI was doing, saw ChatGPT and said, oh yeah, we can do that too. Watch this. If they keep this pace of innovation up and they back all this stuff up, us engineers, we will have no choice but to use Gemini 1.5 and whatever the future models are because they're going to be that good. So that's case two. The second case is really gnarly if they just started innovating from nothing and they hadn't been really sitting on LLMs and, they've been just like kicking up the heat over the past 6 months, announced the Gemini model family in December, and now they're already talking about 1.5 with 1 million tokens, right? Like just think about how fast and how insane that innovation is, right? That's 3 months of innovation. That's crazy. That's frankly really crazy. Big shout out to everyone just absolutely cooking at Google. Let's be fair here, right? We have OpenAI also putting in a lot of work right now. Let's talk about Sora. Before we switch over to Sora, one last idea here I want to leave you with when it comes to Google and their models. There's this idea that all of the models are going to kind of flatten out in their capabilities. Why is that? Why are all these models kind of going to hit a ceiling in terms of results and performance? Most of them are using the same architecture. There's some innovation around that, which is amazing. It looks like Google here is using the mixture of experts architecture, and that would make sense because in order to break the linear limitations of large context window and error rate, they would need to innovate on this pretty heavily. Why are all models going to flatten out? It's all about the training data. If you've worked with models, if you've built your own models, you know that you want high quality, accurate, domain representing training data. Ground truth of your knowledge needs to be very, very accurate, and you want a ton of it. I want you to think about who owns large plethoras of incredible information that's proprietary to them, right? I want you to think about the Reddit database, right? I want you to think about the Twitter or X database, right? And then what else? What are you watching on right now? I want you to think about the YouTube database. YouTube has something like they gain like a petabyte of data every single day. And what type of data is it? It's the best kind. It's rich photos, it's rich video, and of course, tons and tons of text, right? Via transcripts. Think about the incredible amount of data that Google has that no one else has. This is part of what makes them unbeatable. OpenAI might not have as long as we think they do, unless they have something incredible coming. And let's pivot to that right now. Let's talk about Sora. So the first thing I have to say about Sora is this model is going to break the internet. I think you can easily agree with that, and I think you can understand and see why I'm saying that, right? Like, we're engineers, we understand the variability and how people want to use these products. But let's talk about why this model is so groundbreaking. It's really hard to really comprehend what they've done here. It looks like they have trained a model that understands the physics of our world. And this is a lot more complicated than text to text, right? LLMs, they're doing a lot of, some text to photo work. And once you start thinking about text to image, there's a lot of really interesting applications that happen there. But this is like, look at this shot. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. So it understands mirrors, it understands the reflection of the glasses, it's rendering that image back out. And throughout this, it's holding a steady image of this woman walking. She's not aging up, she's not aging down, she's not transforming into like a bear or a donut like a lot of these current video models are doing, right? Where the images are getting mixed up. It's holding the ideas of what it means to be an object in a 3D space throughout an entire minute. And it understands style, it's understanding the culture of where she is. This model is like beyond groundbreaking. It understands locations, it understands the physics of water, which if you've done any game programming, you know that this is a massively difficult problem to such a degree that engineers usually hard code water by creating deterministic physics models for this. So there's just a whole slew of things that this model should not be able to do, and it looks like it's doing it very, very well. Now, from a macro perspective, counter to everything that we were just talking about with Google and how Google is, making insane pace and innovation, this shows that OpenAI has a moat of their own, right? Their team is also cooking a ton of value right now. And again, reflection, this is capturing reflection. It's capturing camera motion. There's just so much like native contextual understanding that you need a model to understand to be able to render this, right? Extreme close-up of a 24-year-old woman, eye blinking. And again, the reflection in the eye, again, is like, that's so incredible. And it requires the model to just understand our world so well. So this is absolutely incredible. But let's talk about what Sora means on a macro level, right? This is an infinite content generator. Let's be completely clear about that. In our world of social media, in our world of content, in our world of attention, this model is the game changer. This model, like I said, this model will break the internet. As soon as this goes out, whatever people have to pay, they will pay it. $50, literally at $100 a month. It doesn't really matter. OpenAI, no doubt, in combination with Microsoft, they will realize how much pricing power they have with this model. And make no mistake at all, they should and likely will charge a bucket load for this technology. So this will change content creation forever. This will change storyboarding forever. This is going to change how movies are getting created. This is going to allow independent filmmakers, independent video game creators to create worlds at a much more affordable cost in a, much more dynamic way than ever before. This is also, of course, going to be a really interesting development in the adult film industry, how this is going to be used. I don't need to say much more there. You can use your own imagination. Most technology gets utilized there first before anywhere else. We do have to talk about the cost of running a model like this and the time of running a model like this. Right now, DALL-E is something like, let's go ahead and just look up OpenAI model prices. I think DALL-E runs at 12 cents. Yeah, it's cooking at 12 cents for the HD model at the largest size. And so if we upscale that, let's say that Sora is running at 30 FPS, 12 cents times 30 for each frame times 60 to run the full minute, that's gonna be something like $200 basically for that video at DALL-E 3 pricing. That's unusable. No one's gonna render a 1-minute video at that cost at this variability, right? I can almost guarantee you that if they run this prompt again, it's going to produce a different output. And when you're creating content, there are only some cases when you're creating content when that is okay. When you can render something completely different the second time around, right? The consistency of these models have to be improved. That's something we see with, even current text-to-text models like GPT-4 and text-to-image models. We want the ability to be able to iterate on what we already have. Sora is the ultimate content creation tool. This is going to reframe how content's created. It's going to make way for a lot of automated content, a lot of personalized content. This is all really fantastic. A lot of great innovation here. These companies now have to prove this value to us. Us engineers need to get this stuff in our hands. Let's talk about the micro level effects for us on the ground of these incredible technologies, right? Let's talk about what this stuff means for us. These incredible releases really highlight an important aspect for us engineers and us product builders with our boots on the ground, building software on a daily basis. This stuff is accelerating. You and I need to be able to keep up with this stuff, or we will be left behind. We'll be using old tech while someone else is using fast tech, getting 10 times more done than we are. We want to be that person getting 10 times more done. We want to be the person getting 50, 100 times more done. And a pillar of this YouTube channel is just that. I want you guys to see what's coming next. I want to help equip you with the right principles and tools that you need to know how to react to this, to know how to build, to know how to think about this stuff. Over my decade plus long career actively building products, there are reoccurring themes. If you've been writing code, if you've been building products, you'll know these principles to be true. We talk about them here on the channel quite often because principle-led development and principle-focused and oriented mindsets is how you not only survive, but can thrive with these incredible technologies. So what I want to do right now is look at a concrete example, a concrete code base we've been building over the last 3 videos. This code base is now live. This is the IndyDevTools repository. Link's going to be in the description. You can check this out. You can pull it. You can install right from pip. And just real quick, I want to talk about this code base as it relates to how you can build applications and how you can quickly adapt to the rapid change that we're going to be facing and have faced over the past year and the year looking forward. So what I want to do here is just highlight some of the key principles that the IndyDevTools is built on, and then we can look at the future of how we can build tools like this to help us quickly adapt, add, test, and build on top of new technologies like Gemini Pro and like Sora. So let's go ahead and focus in, talk about this code base for a little bit. So let's just look at the application flowchart of what this tool does. Let's go ahead and full screen this. The first application in the IndyDevTools suite is a YouTube metadata generator. So you start over here, you have your rendered YouTube video, massive process in the middle where you're thinking about title ideas, you're generating your hashtags, you're writing the description for your video, you're creating thumbnails, you're experimenting with different titles. This problem is not just specific to YouTube metadata content generation, right? This is a reoccurring problem where you have a core asset, maybe it's a code base, maybe it's a blog, maybe it's an announcement post, maybe it's a video, and then you have a bunch of metadata that isn't your core asset, but it's just as important, right? And all this stuff needs to happen in order for you to ship your core asset, in our case, upload our video to YouTube. So now we have this tool inside the IndyDev toolbox that allows us to do this entire process with a couple commands. Let's go ahead and look at a concrete example. So you can quickly pip install this, just pip install IndyDevTools, and then you run configuration, set up your configuration file, set your operating directory wherever your audio or video files are, set up your OpenAI key, and then you can just start running these commands. And the way that these commands are set up is really, really fantastic. So let's go ahead and just run this one command here, right? So let's go ahead and run IndyDevTools YouTube. So we're in the YouTube tool. We're going to generate a title, and we're going to use the rough draft title using AI Copilots to code faster than ever. So we're going to go ahead and just hit enter there. We're going to let this run. It's loading the configuration file, and it's going to now automatically generate titles using an LLM, right? Cool. So that's written. You can see there the outputs written to this directory. So let's go ahead and just open up this file, open that up for us. And you can see just like that, by using the IndyDevTools, by using this framework that we've built, I now have several titles that I can use and experiment with an explanation and a score. And, we can look at a couple of these. I use an AI coding assistant for 30 days, my mind-blowing results. That's pretty good. How AI coding assistants are revolutionizing programming, not too bad. And then the ultimate guide, boosting your coding skills with AI assistants, also not too bad. Just a quick plug, the AI coding assistant tutorial videos and courses are in the works. I'm putting in a lot of effort behind the scenes to get those courses and tutorials rolling for you guys. So stay tuned for that. Definitely hit the sub if you haven't. That's going to be game changing, and it's going to help you keep pace with the incredible technology. It's going to help you stay sharp, writing code faster than the guy next to you. It's going to help you do more in less time. So stay tuned for that. Just like that in one command, that's run. There are several other commands here. The most important one is this IndyDevTools YouTube generate meta auto. And so this will automatically run. It'll generate all of the YouTube metadata after asking a couple key questions about your video. It'll ask for SEO keywords. It'll ask for a rough draft title. So there's a bunch of commands here. The key aspect here is to focus on everything as an individual unit of code. Let's go ahead and look at some of the principles. So let's talk about these principles, right? So a couple key principles here. Use the right tool for the job. We've talked about everything as a function in the previous 2 videos. This is the most important aspect of this code base, but also create reusable building blocks. And this is a really key idea that I want to touch on here. And then we'll look at how it translates into code. But in the age of AI, where code, data, and models are becoming a commodity, the most valuable thing you can create is a reusable building block that can be used to solve many problems. In this code base and in your work, you should be focused on building small, composable, reusable functions that can be used together or only one at a time. So real quick, I just want to show off how that translates into this code base. I'll open up IndyDevTools and let's just look at how this code base is composed top to bottom. So we open up the IndyDevTools directory. We can see we have commands and we have main. We're using typer to divide and conquer. You can see here we have the YouTube application under this namespace. If we type IndyDevTools YouTube --help, you can see here all of our commands have individual top level methods and namespaces that they operate under, right? This allows us to divide our work into individual functions and sub commands that will then have their own individual functions. So we just generated titles. Let's go ahead and look in that titles subcommands that allows us to generate arbitrary video titles, and let's type help there. And you can see here now in that titles subcommand namespace, we can create titles and then we can compose titles, right? So this pattern of subcommands and creating a clean command line interface allows you to chunk up what your code can do and allow you to run them on an individual level as well as all together, right? If you run the generate metadata auto, this will run a step-by-step interface. And if we hop into that flow, that's the generate metadata flow, it'll then run every step of the flow of multiple tools, right? So we can see here, this is the, create title for a video. That flow will get run inside this larger generate metadata flow, right? So this allows us to, in this code base, both run these large composed functions that do their own set of unique work with concrete inputs and outputs, just as we discussed. But it also allows us to, come into this create title command and look at just creating a title, right? And that's exactly what we did before. If we hop back and we look at that create title command, we pass in the R flag. If we go to that top level and look at the titles command, you can see this is exactly what we did earlier, right? So we have this individualized command that is simply an interface to the underlying function. This is our small reusable building block. We can create titles anytime, anywhere with this function, but then we can also run this method, right? We have this create title. We can run this in larger flows like the generate metadata flow. All this is here in the code base. Feel free to check this out. Feel free to fork it, do your own thing with it, or follow along the development. I'm going to be building this up. We're going to have additional tools like talking to one of your OpenAI assistants. As soon as Sora comes out, we're going to, of course, quickly add a tool that allows us to generate video content. This tool is something that we work on and refer to throughout the channel. As you guys know, I want to be not just talking about this stuff, but really showing you with my boots on the ground. A lot of my technologies, a lot of my applications and work that I'm doing is built literally on top of these principles and some of the code that was fueled by these principles, right? The most important ones here, if I just had to say, we have prompts being the new fundamental unit of programming, we have reusable building blocks, and then everything as a function, right? These are the most important to keep in mind when these technologies are coming out, right? So feel free to check out that code base, follow along the journey of that if you're interested. There's a lot going on. I'm really excited about the future. I know this stuff can be a lot to handle. It can be really terrifying at some moments, but we're in this together, one video at a time, 1 week at a time. We're going to talk about this stuff. We're going to dissect it, and we're going to build great technology on top of this. We're going to solve problems faster. We're going to write code faster, and we're going to keep our heads on our shoulders throughout the entire process. If that interests you, hit the like, hit the sub. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.